Hello and welcome to another video, and this is the start of a new series. This is Road to the British Champs episode 1. Now, if you've been around for a while, you may remember way back when, like 2 years ago I think, I did a similar series of Road to the British Champs, obviously in the run up to the British Champs, and a lot of you guys seem to enjoy it. It got positive feedback. So with the British Champs coming around in October, not too far away, I thought it would be cool to do something similar now, because obviously a lot of the focus on my channel is around food. I mean, I like food, don't get me wrong, but I think it would be cool to do something a little bit more focused on my training that has been quite in demand. And so I thought this series would be a really cool thing to do. So the basic kind of layout of the series will be that I will kind of document my training, tell you how things are going in terms of injuries and how I'm feeling, and you know, my weight and my diet and stuff. I guess I'll kind of show you probably like Monday's session, because that's the one that's most, like the heaviest one, the most exciting one. Talk about it a bit, maybe give you like something informational each week, so like a bit of advice, something you can use in your own training so that it has some kind of benefit for you in that respect as well. And then just chuck in a bit of food porn at the end, because I know there's a lot of food perverts out there and I want to please everyone. So without further ado, today is a Monday. I'm about to go to the gym. I've got some squats, bench and deadlift, sets of 4, working up to an RPE 9, so hopefully hit some respectable numbers. So if you're excited for this series, if you are raring to go, give this video a like and let's go. Right, training's done. Let's go home and talk about it. God. Okay, let's get into it. So let's start off with squats. So I worked up in sets of 4 to an RPE 9. So I finished with 5 sets of 4, and the RPE 9 worked out at 210 kilograms, which for a set of 4, I'm pretty pleased with. That's the heaviest I've gone since my cut. So obviously it puts me in a good place, and it means it's the strongest I've been at this new weight, and it's not that far from where I was when I was a lot heavier. So obviously that's very pleasing. Now I've been getting a couple of comments recently about my squat form. People saying that my heels are lifting a bit, and that's true. Like I'm not saying it doesn't happen, it does happen. There's 2 reasons for that. Firstly, when I get fatigues, I get lazy and I look for like more of a stretch reflex, which means that I let my knees travel forwards more, and then as a result of that I fall forward sometimes and my heels come up. The second reason is that what I've just said, so I'm looking for a stretch reflex. I'm trying to find that sweet point where I really bounce back up quickly. Sometimes if I sit back too much, I get stuck, and sometimes when I fall forwards too much, my heels come up. But yeah, it's not, as some people have suggested, like a flexibility issue, because my ankle dorsiflexion is really, really good. I can get my knees very far forward, so that isn't the issue at all. Like I said, it is more of a positional / fatigue error. By the way, I'm really, really hot. The gym is like ridiculously hot. It's really, doesn't seem hot outside, but I guess it's really muggy because I've not stopped sweating for the last 3 hours since I stepped into the gym. Right, on to bench press. So again, it was 5 sets of 4, culminating in a set of 4 at an RPE 9, and that was 145 kilos. Now, admittedly, it was probably more of an RPE 9.5, I'd say, because it was a little bit of a grind, but I reckon I could have had one more there. And as with the squat, I'm really pleased with that. Like that is comfortably the strongest I've been since my cut, and again, it's approaching where I was when I was like 10 kilograms heavier. So I'm really, really happy. Bench, I keep saying it, it feels so good. I'm really, really confident. Like it's gone from feeling like my worst lift to now at the moment feeling like my best lift. It's moving really well, and I'm very confident that I'll hit. I reckon I'm going to be close to equaling my PR, if not beating it, by the end of this cycle. So that obviously would set me up really well for the British Champs. Yeah, and finally my deadlift. Now deadlift, I did 4 sets of 4. So I always tend to do a little bit of a reduced volume with deadlifts because they're more taxing, and also I'm doing them at the end of a session. So obviously because that's come after my squat and my bench press, they basically seem harder. So I want to minimise the volume a little bit there. But the last set again was an RPE 9. I got up to 240 kilograms, which again, keep saying the same thing. I'm really pleased with. Like today was probably my best session since the cut, so I'm really, really happy there. It is deadlift in terms of, you know, being compared to where my lifts were when I was heavier. Deadlift is definitely the furthest behind, but I mean that's 2 reasons. Firstly, the weight loss has obviously affected me in that gap I had off training, but it's more the deadlift bar. Like I wasn't kidding myself, but I tried to, when I was using a deadlift bar, I tried to say, you know, oh, it's not making that much of a difference. For me, it really does. Like I'm weakest off the floor, and obviously that deadlift bar gives me, say, 2 or 3 inches at the first part of the pull that I can bypass, which made a massive difference. So I think it's probably worth, I'm going to say 20 kilograms, I reckon. So I'm basically trying to make up for that. So I've kind of been hit from all angles, but I feel like it's coming back. I'm starting to feel a lot better. My form's getting a lot tighter. I feel a lot kind of tighter at the floor. I'm bracing better. So yeah, I feel like I'm engaging my hamstrings. I think that come the British Champs, I should be, I reckon, around PR territory, which with a stiff bar and the weight loss would obviously be an incredible result. I'll be really, really happy with that. Now, I just obviously touched on RPE there when I was talking about my lifts, and that is what I quickly wanted to delve into in this video to help some of you guys out. So when I'm talking about RPE, and when you hear lifters talking about RPE, they're talking about a rating of perceived exertion. What that means is basically how hard you think you're working. Now, there is something called a Borg scale, which is like an RPE that everyone uses, or that, you know, the general gym population could use, and it's different to the one that you'd hear powerlifters refer to. So the general kind of RPE scale I think goes up to something like 20, whereas the RPE scale you'd hear a powerlifter use, like I'm using here, goes up to 10. Now what it basically means, an RPE 10 means that's your max, you have nothing else there, and you basically work your way back, and it means that there's more reps there. So if you say you've done a bench press and it was an RPE 9, that means you think you have 1 more rep left. An RPE 8, you think you have 2 reps left. So for example, when I'm saying my that last squat set at 210 kilograms was an RPE 9, I mean that on that last rep, I reckon I had 1 rep more there. So it is ultimately, it's very subjective, and you'll watch someone. So I got someone in mind. Now, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to slag people off, but someone I know who says, "Oh, that was an RPE 7," and you watch it and you think, "Did you have like 3 reps left there?" I'm not sure you did. So everyone's interpretation of it is different. I think I'm probably a bit pessimistic with it, because sometimes I'll say, "Oh, it's an RPE 8," and I watch the footage back and it was like moving really quick. So I think it's obviously down to the individual. And to be honest, although it's subjective, as long as you're consistent with it, your use of it, it doesn't really matter whether you're under or overestimating. The key is that you use it in the same way. So if you underestimate, obviously as long as you underestimate all the time, it's still going to be a useful tool for you. Now the reason I use it, and I've started using it more recently, is that I'm regulating my intensity with it. So intensity is obviously how hard you train, and it's really, really key. So in terms of getting stronger, you need to increase your volume, right? Now, ways of increasing your volume is that you can literally do more work, okay? You can do things like reduce the recovery, etc. You can lift heavier weight. Now, by reducing the recovery or by lifting heavier weight, you are increasing the intensity. Now, increasing the intensity, like I said, is another way of changing or increasing your volume. Now, ultimately, there's only so many times you can add more reps and more sets. And if you keep adding more reps and more sets every few weeks, then within like a few months, you're going to be doing like 500 sets, every week, and you can't sustain that. You can't keep increasing that. So, like I said, by increasing the intensity of the sessions or of the lifts, it means that that's another way to increase your volume. So, for example, what I'm doing now is I'm regulating my intensity, so I'm tracking my RPEs, and it's fluctuating throughout the week. So I have some days where my RPE is going to go up to a 9, other days where it's down at a 7. But I'm working all of those things out, and I'm classing RPE 9s as more volume. So for example, if I did one set of 4 at an RPE 9, and then another set of 4 at an RPE 7, even though they're both 4 reps, so the volume is going to be similar, the RPE 9 is obviously worth more volume because it's more specific to powerlifting, it's heavier, and therefore you're going to get more from it. And when I talk about being specific to powerlifting, that's also really, really key to bear in mind. So when you're looking at your RPEs, I've made the mistake in the past of doing lots of my work at like an RPE 6 or an RPE 7. Now, that's not bad for general volume or maybe like kind of general conditioning, but when you are looking towards peaking for a test or for a competition, you need to make sure your RPEs are fairly high. Ultimately, what you're training for is an RPE 10. Like when you go for a PR or for a competition, you're looking at an RPE 10, right? If you never subject yourself to that, then you're not going to be ready for it. It's a skill. Ultimately, doing an RPE 10 with a squat or a bench or a deadlift is a skill. So you need to do that as frequently as you can within reason to get you ready for it, which is why I'm lifting at an RPE 9 on these heavy sessions, because I want to obviously get myself used to doing that. Whereas in the past, I might only do that in the very last week. Now I'm spreading out and doing it more frequently because I think there's definitely a crossover there. And if you look at things like the Bulgarian method, which is like high intensity training very frequently, it's been shown it can be done frequently. It's just really, really important that you manage it. You don't obviously, if you try and go for an RPE 9 every day, then that's obviously going to have an effect. But as long as you are clever with it and you use it like sparingly but frequently enough to have an effect, then obviously it's going to be very beneficial. And that is where I'm going to leave that. So if you found this topic interesting, obviously give the video a like. If you have any suggestions for topics in the future you'd like me to discuss, anything you thought, I wonder how that works or what does that mean, then let me know. Now if you say to me what's your favourite colour or can you unicycle while singing Whitney Houston and dancing, I'm not going to talk about that, although I can do that, but I won't talk about it because obviously it's not beneficial. So give me some useful suggestions and I'll definitely delve into them. But for now I'm going to cut it there. I'm going to wait for Sayers to get back. Luca is currently napping. Sayers is at work, she's gone back to work, which sucks, but we've got summer soon, so who cares. So yeah, Sayers is going to get back, and then I think we're going to go out and get a coffee and some kind of cake, some kind of awesome like food for you dirty perverts out there who are just sitting back and waiting for it. Okay, Sayers is back from work, Luca's woken up, and we decided to go to Waitrose and have a bit of an Oreo party because firstly, Oreos are good, and secondly, I thought it would be interesting to do like a Oreos versus Aldi's version of Oreos to see how like similar they are. Also got some strawberry milk because Sayers likes it, and like milkshake's good with Oreos, right? So I'm going to give you a bit of a Mattdoesfitness taste test in a second. I've got some strawberry cheesecake flavour. I've got some double stuff, which is like sick, just more of the good stuff inside them. And then I've got some golden Oreos, which I'm not fully convinced about, but okay. Here we go. Strawberry cheesecake. Doesn't taste like strawberry cheesecake. Double stuff. Bloody good. Golden Oreo. Pretty nice. Excuse me. And some strawberry milk. It's a bit of an insult to your mother. Her milk isn't good enough, is it? So Yeah, so my conclusion is that double stuffed Oreos are definitely the best Oreos. Now, these golden ones are good, but like as far as I'm concerned, they're not really Oreos. It's kind of like if, like what is an Oreo, right? An Oreo is like the brown chocolate thingy with like the cream inside. I can understand the different flavour cream, but when you're changing the whole structure of the Oreo, it'll be like Cheerios being like, oh, we've got some new Frosties flavoured Cheerios, and they're just Frosties. It's not the same as it. You'd be like, these are Frosties. I don't think it works. Anyway, this is a completely bizarre end to my video. I just thought I'd shoehorn some weird food in there. If you enjoyed the video, guys, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed the first episode of the Road to the British Champs, give it a thumbs up as well. And I will see you tomorrow.